So we have a really sweet landing page with framer motion in place, lots of different functionality, and we didn't have to copy in any of this content. We just went and set BrightData off to crawl it and pull it all in and get it set up. And then if we bounce over to our blog, now we have a complete blog set up with individual blog posts, and look at these lovely images. I mean, this is great. This is the power of Pexels. And in this video, I'm going to show you my latest workflow for designing and building websites and apps really quickly, including pulling in all the content I need to populate a website, because that usually takes up a whole lot of time. We're going to see some of the recent MCPs I've discovered to help us do that. And if you don't know what an MCP is, it's basically a plugin to your code editor that gives it superpowers. I'd like to say a big thanks to BrightData for sponsoring this. We're going to use their fantastic new MCP, which actually is going to pull in and crawl a lot of the content we need to generate our websites. And this is the way the internet is moving. Increasingly, we're going to be getting things done, not by browsing the web ourselves, but by having our own personal agents browse and navigate for us. And in order to do that, we need a seamless experience where our agents can move really freely. And that's really what BrightData brings to the table. So we'll talk about that as we go forward, but enough talk, let's go. If you're a builder, check out switchdimension.com, where I have a course and community that helps you build apps 10x faster using AI. Here we are in Cursor. You can get it from cursor.com. Go and open project. I'm going to create a folder where I save most of my projects. You can do it anywhere you want, like your desktop, it doesn't really matter, and click create. And then we're just going to open this particular folder. So now we have a clean folder, and you'll see the root of the folder up here is the name of the project. There's multiple different modes and models that you can choose. I'm just going to start with 3.5 Sonnet because I'm just doing some infrastructure things here. Now I like to use my voice, of course, to do most of my coding because it's 3x faster. I'm using Whisper Flow in this case. So I'm just going to hit my start key here. I'd like to install Next.js in this folder, please. So essentially it's gone with all the default settings there. If you want a slower version of this tutorial, I would check out my last one. I go through every single command that I run. This is just really to give you an idea of the whole process. Okay, so what we have here on the left-hand side is Next.js is initialized. Your folder that you need to pay attention to is your source folder here, okay? So if I go and command click on this, I'm going to see my Next.js app is already there. Okay, so now we have our development server up and running. Let's just take a quick look at our MCPs. So MCPs are essentially plugins for your agent so that they can use various different tools. And if you go to settings up here and you go to MCPs in Cursor, you'll have the same thing in Windsurf and even in Claude. You can see that you've got all your MCPs listed. So we have BrightData here. I'm going to show you that in terms of being able to scrape and pull content from absolutely anywhere. Context 7 is a way for our agent to be able to check the most relevant documentation for whatever it's trying to build out. Then we've got Neon, which is going to be our database here. And we've got Pexels for helping us bring in images, which is always good when you're doing any kind of design or web design. And 21st Dev, which is this suite of hundreds of really beautiful components that we can use to design out our websites. So there are many more that you can add in here. I don't want to overwhelm you in this tutorial, so I've just listed these ones, and you can even see at this, it's maxing out in terms of the number of enabled servers that this model might be able to handle. So let's say I have a new client that wants a website. How would I kickstart the process and get this moving as fast as possible? So in the old days, I might start WordPress, I might use Webflow, I might even open Figma to start handcrafting a website, or might just take an existing template and start to pull in content and dump it into it. So I'm going to show you a new way of doing it, a way to just get our draft started really, really quickly. Back over to Cursor, just going to start a new window here. Let's create a documentation folder in the root of this project, and in that let's create a research folder. In that research folder, I'd like to start compiling information about our new client Magic Bell. And I'm going to use this folder and this information as the source for building out a new website. So with that in mind, go and create those folders, start to pull in their recent posts so we can use that as the foundation of creating their blog articles. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Just as requested, it's gone and created a documentation and a research folder, and then it's given us all these different Markdown files within. And we used BrightData's MCP here in order to be able to crawl the Markdown and be able to work through various different platforms. I'm going to go and start a new chat again. Let's design a landing page for Magic Bell, taking into account everything that we've learned about them and have stored in the documentation and research folders. And let's make it in dark mode and make sure that it's optimized for high conversion. Oftentimes people stress about having the perfect prompt to kick things off. Don't worry about it, just go with what feels natural as a starting point, and then you can iterate after the fact. Okay, so that just took a couple of minutes, and let's take a look at the output, and not bad. So we have, within just a couple of minutes, pulled in all the client's content from its various different social media and other sources, crawled from the web using BrightData, and then gone and created our website. Notification inbox ready in minutes, not months. From 0 to magic in minutes. Okay, this looks really good. It's even got the SDK steps in the implementation timeline. Okay, so let's go and start a new conversation, because again, you've got to keep context in mind. And we're going to leverage our 21st Dev MCP plugin. So just to take a look here at this MCP, if we scroll down to our 21st Dev plugin, we're just going to switch that on. I don't always have them all switched on because there's only a certain amount of tools that any large language model can handle. So if you don't think you're using it, you can switch them on and off. I've covered before how to set this up. It's really quite straightforward. You can go to 21st Dev and click on the MCP to get it set up. I'm just going to show you how it works. Let's see if we can improve the hero section with a refreshed component. Can we use something from the 21st Dev Magic MCP library to improve the design? And so I'm just going to hit go on this and see how we get on. So you can see here it's actually calling the MCP tool in two different cases, and it's going to pop open the component builder in a second. So when Magic MCP is finished working, it pops open to give you a couple of different variants that you can choose from, and accept this variant. Now it's going and creating some new components, and it's created this new folder here, the components and the UI directory. This is common when you're using ShadCN. Okay, so you see some fresh new components from 21st Dev. It's really updated the design, taken it up a level, and applied it to the hero section. Now what we could actually do is then do the same thing across each one of these sections to make sure that they looked super slick. But for the case of this demonstration, we're just going to leave it here. So let's say we want to have a blog as well. How would that work? So if I click on blog here, nothing's happening right now, but let's go back over to cursor. So I'm going to paste in this link to the Magic Bell existing blog. So let's say it's a scenario where the client has existing content in a particular location or a blog, and they want to take this now and move it to their new website. So maybe in the past you'd have to look at extracting it, pulling out, copy and pasting. I'm just going to use the BrightData MCP here to go and crawl it, search it, and pull it into a folder. So I'm going to give it this command here, and then I'm going to say, using the BrightData MCP, can you go to this blog location and go and get the last 10 blog posts? I want you to crawl those individual links and pull those blog posts as markdown files into a new blog folder in the documentation research section. We're going to use that as a basis for creating a blog shortly, but I don't need you to create the blog. So what we have as an ability with the MCP here and BrightData is, you'll see it's got its own search down, and it can scrape as markdown. So scraping something as markdown, essentially when we scrape a web page, it ends up in a big block of HTML, but we want to have just the markdown version of that. It's easier for us to read and very easy for a large language model to read. And that's what's happening here with BrightData. And then we can also you can see all the other affordances that it has here as well. And it's using the navigation tool to make its way through those different pages and find exactly what we want. So Basically, our large language model, Claude, is in command here, but we've given it superpowers to be able to navigate, crawl, and pull and scrape this Markdown, as well as the ability to unlock various different locations that we previously might not have been able to unlock. So we're going to want to be able to store our blog posts. We have a couple of options. We could just save them as Markdown and use an ability to just serve those Markdowns as styled blog posts, which is a really simple way to do it. But maybe we want to build up a CMS and offer the ability for a client to log in and edit. We could actually go and build our own CMS pretty quickly, or we can use one like Strappy or even WordPress headless or something like that. But I think we can nearly just go and build it ourselves. So I'm going to have a little stretch goal here and use Claude 3.7 to build out the basics of a CMS. We're not going to put in an admin or anything else like that, but you'll quickly see that all that's very possible if I just kept prompting. So I'm just going to show you the basics of how you might get a database set up through an MCP. So you have a couple of different options when it comes to databases. I use primarily ones like NeonDB or Supabase. NeonDB can be really quick to get set up. It has branching and it's serverless. And Supabase is kind of like platform as a service and has a whole load of extended features that go with it, like authentication, image storage, all that kind of stuff. So it can be really powerful. So essentially, it went and we gave it this big command, did some research itself. It went to create a project in the NeonDB dashboard. You'll need to authenticate. That might pop up as well. I didn't show you that step. It runs some SQL, searched then for some photos to add to the blog posts, ran some more SQL, and then set up Drizzle as an ORM to actually work with Neon, which was pretty cool. And then installed that, set that up, worked on creating some endpoints. Okay, so we're just getting this initial image on the Pexels. So I'm just going to copy that and then I'm going to go back over to cursor and we're just going to paste this in as an issue and just going to hit return. So what page is that on? It's on the blog page. So I might just want to give it a head start to give it some context to what I'm talking about, and I just hit return. Okay, it looks like it's fixed that issue. So let's just take a look. This is sweet. We have a brand new blog. We have all our content listed with some nice highlighting, and look at these images it's pulled in using the Pexels MCP. But this is a great draft starting point for any website, and it just took us a couple of minutes to get this all up and running. So we have a really sweet landing page with Framer Motion in place, lots of different functionality, and we didn't have to copy in any of this content. We just went and set BrightData off to crawl it and pull it all in and get it set up. And then if we bounce over to our blog, now we have a complete blog set up with individual blog posts, and look at these lovely images. I mean, this is great. This is the power of Pexels and dragging them in. So in order to get this set up, just pop over to GitHub and go to the BrightData MCP, and it's got everything you need there in order to get set up. Essentially what we want to do is copy in this piece of code here, specifically this, and add it into our MCP server setup. So if I go to cursor, you can see how mine is set up. And so you just want to copy this into this section here. So you've got MCP servers and you're just copying it in here. So it's ready to go. And we're going to fill out the API token, the unlock zone, and the browser auth. And we're going to get that from the Bright MCP dashboard. So pop back over again. So now we've got our setup. So we need to go to BrightData, then we go to user settings to get our API key. Pop over, and then we have our API tokens here. So I'm just going to get mine. We're just going to refresh this token, and then you can see what it is. We're going to copy that. I'm going to delete this after the fact. And we go back over again to here. We can pop in our API token. So paste that one in there. Perfect. And let's save that. Now we need to create a web unlocker. So go back again. You can see the instructions here. So create a web unlocker. So let's right click on that, open in a new tab, go over here, and then we need to create this web unlocker. So I've done one already. So let's just create a new one so you see what it's like. Click add, and I go down here to web unlocker API. So this is how we beat CAPTCHAs and different things like that. So we're going to call it web unlocker 2, and we can add this and click yes. And it's going to give us API documentation as well if we wanted to use our own proxy. So maybe we're using our own proxy or our own setup. We just want to use the unlocker ability to solve CAPTCHAs. We can actually bake that in. So that's really useful to have if your agent wants to crawl the web. So this is what we're interested in here. We need to take this little string. So we're going to copy that and then go back over to cursor again, and we need to paste this in here. So this is the example one. Just see how it's a little bit different from what's being pasted in. So I'm actually just going to show you the difference. So if we put this in here and then I take this string and paste it in, it's going to be different from what you see here. We just need to edit it a little bit. Just bear that in mind. So what we're missing is the password at the end. So we get the password from here. So just copy that here. And then we just put in our colon here, 1 second, paste that in, and now we've got our valid string. So I'm just going to take this new string and we're going to pop it in here and replace the old one, and then we can delete that as well. And we need to make sure that we've got the right name. So it's Web Unlocker 2. So let's copy that and make sure that's relevant. And that should be it. So let's just close that. I'm just going to hit refresh. And it seems to be working fine and connecting. So we're good to go. In terms of the Pexels MCP, you can get that at Smithery. So just go and navigate down to the overview. You can pick cursor here, and then you're going to click connect. And you can actually go and just run this in the terminal to get it set up and installed. Then if you need your own API key for it, you can go to Pexels and get that set up as well. And up the top here, you can get image and video API, and you can get your API key here to get it set up. So also worth noting that Cursor has upgraded to 0.5. The things that I'm interested in are a ability to have max mode for all the top models. So essentially, in a nutshell, using max mode gives you the full context window and the full capability of a model. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but if that's what you need and your code base is of a certain size or your prompt requires it, you can switch up to max mode to actually do that. They have improved their tab model. Background agents, I haven't been given this ability yet, but it's coming, and this is really interesting. So what I generally do when I'm running development is I might have 1 or 2 instances of Cursor running different tasks while I'm waiting for others to complete. Sometimes I'll even have Cursor and an instance of Windsurf and maybe Claude Code all running at the same time doing different things. And that's really useful because when you're doing big prompts, there's an increasingly long wait between the model carrying out the work and what it gets done and when it signals that it's finished. So background agents is a new concept from Cursor, so that what you can do is spin up a agent in the background. Now you'll need to set up the environment, so there's a bit of upfront work to get that working. But once you have that environment set up for your code base, you can spin up these background agents. They appear to be running in the cloud, not on your local machine, and they will carry out whatever work that you want to get done, like a particular pull request or anything like that in the background. So that's interesting, but I've yet to play with it. So this is an interesting development. You can have multiple code bases in one workspace. So let's say you've got a back end that's using like Fast API or Express, and then you've got a front end with Vite or Next.js or something like that. Usually it's a bit of a pain when you're doing app developments because the front end needs to know what's happening in the back end in order to work. Well, at least the agent does. And there needs to be a bridge between the two. And usually that comes in the form of documentation or something like that. But now that we've got them both in the same code base, theoretically we can use the agent to understand both at the same time and connect the paths together, etc. So I don't have that enabled, but at least that's what I think it's going to do. A few more changes in there if you want to check it out at changelogcursor.com.